And good morning and welcome to another edition of Telling It Like It Is. I'm Ralph Williams and my partner Leo Haggerty will be joining me any moment here. We're in the First Line Consulting Services Studios, 1-877-926-6982. And I want to wish everyone who watches the show here today a very happy New Year, first week of the new year. And don't forget Monday night at 7 p.m. Or the Way We See It show with me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canada. And the year's already started, and we're back to where we were last year. Oh, wonderful, isn't it? But it's the beginning of the year, and there's still time for people to start improving some of their lives a little bit. And but anyway, today we're going to talk a lot about the this week's NFL games, the last week of the season. Black Monday's coming up on Monday. Some coaches could get fired. Some coaches could be moving around. There's going to be a lot going on this coming Monday, as they call it. They call it Black Monday. So we'll see exactly what's going on there as well. And so as soon as Leo gets on here, we're going to talk with him in a few moments. But right now, I want to talk to you today about Sleep Pittsburgh. Sleep Pittsburgh is on 8th Avenue in Homestead, 412-462-7858. Give them a call today. They have the best selection of bedding and the best selection of not only just bedding, but also they have the best selection of futons, lift chairs, day beds, and a whole lot more. So give them a call today, 412-462-7858. Also, sleeppittsburgh.com. No credit check financing. Sleep Pittsburgh for the best sleep tonight. All right, I'm checking to see if Leo's okay. I guess he'll be getting on here any moment. So anyway, there he is, Leo Haggerty. All right, here we go. We're getting ready for Leo. So he's getting ready to come on. And there we are. All right, let's get ready for Leo here. And here we go. All right. Leo Haggerty.
I tell you what, Ralph, that's a heck of an intro. That's it. I'm impressed. And I'm out in the car today, if people are wondering, because we've had a terrible storm down here. And for some reason, I was getting no connection inside. So I'm out in the car, but hey, Ralph, the show must go on, right?
What's everybody doing? Running around getting toilet paper.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy down here, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. We're in the First Line Consulting Services Studios, 1-877-926-6982. And we're also getting ready to talk today, Leo. Leo, this is the last week in the NFL season. Monday's coming up. They call it Black Monday. Which coaches do you believe could get fired?
The two of the three in the NFC South that do not win the division. I'll tell you what, you're going to win the division either at 9-8 or 8-9, which is really crazy. So if ownership, all they want to do is win the division, that's fine. But if you're looking to go further and to win a Lombardi trophy, you got to take a strong look. And even the team that wins, even if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the division, or the Saints or the Falcons,
right,
ownership's going to look strong and hard at this. Now, the one plus that championship team will have is they got the owner a home playoff game. And for your listeners and viewers, if you don't know how huge that is, you don't share profits when you have a playoff game. That's all your money. So, yeah, it's cha-ching for the owners. So when you look at this, Ralph, I think that's a problem. I'm wondering what's going on in the NFC North with Chicago and
Detroit, Green Bay. You got all them guys in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think Dan and I'll tell you what, I said Dan Campbell had the right idea from the time he got in there. He just exudes toughness. If there's a fist fight, I want Dan Campbell next to me
Oh,
because
absolutely.
he doesn't play. And what he did, his philosophy was, we are going to be tougher than the other team. And he drafted tough guys. Everybody said, oh, well, they can't do this again. But they were tough guys. And you know
Right.
what? When the war starts, you want that tough guy. So I tell you what, the two coaches in the NFC South, I'm a little bit concerned about. Belichick's gone. We know that. Frank
Right.
Reich is gone. The Chargers coach is gone. Ron
Right.
Rivera is gone. So they've already had, they're 4 done. Usually there's 6 to 8 every year. Well, there's the 6. Now, I don't know what they're doing when you look at the schedule and you look at teams. I don't know if Salah's on firm ground either. Now, he lost Aaron Rodgers, and I
Right.
think that gives him a pass. But I'll tell you what, if they get blown out today or this weekend by the Patriots, there may be some soul searching done in New York.
New York. Yeah. Well, you know what? I hate to see Salah go. I don't know if you noticed or not. I interviewed about a year or so ago, last year in 22 or 2 years ago in 22. I interviewed Mike Westhoff, who is the assistant head coach in Denver um, with Sean Payton, and he's he was one of the best special teams coaches in the league. He wrote a book about the Jets, which he has out now, and he told me that Robert Saleh was the most organized head coach he ever met. He saw some spring training practices and saw how he conducts things and everything else. I'm just wondering if I don't know how far south this has gone, and they keep saying in New York that Salah could possibly still be with the team. But then again, when Black Monday rolls around, you never know. They might pull the switch on him. I hope they don't because he seems like he's again like and Mike Westhoff is one of the better guys in the NFL. Would to come out and say that that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? Unless you have a home playoff game,
Right.
I don't think your future is secure as an NFL head coach. You may be in the playoffs, but if you're going on the road, I can
Right.
remember when the Green Bay Packers won their latest Super Bowl. Guess how much money they made? Zero, none.
Zero.
They were
Right.
all on the road. Yeah, they got the Lombardi Trophy, but ownership,
But whoop-de-doo. I
yeah,
mean,
there was
yeah,
no.
yeah, I
And
agree.
in fact, Ralph, that's one of the greatest bar trivia questions that'll make you money. Is how many times did the
That's
Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup at
yeah,
home?
I know. I said that to
Zero.
my producer. I said that to my producer on Tuesday, and he
Yeah.
said he said, "Oh, they didn't win any at home." And I said, "There you go." He says, "Oh, I remember that question when Leo was on the show."
That's
So
it.
he remembered that question, my producer on my radio show.
Yeah. And
So
by the way, we talked last week about the 5 colleges that have United States presidents and Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Hey, let
yeah,
me hit you with this week's one. Has
okay,
there ever been a president of the United States that was never elected? I'll tell you what, if you came up with Gerald Ford, you're right. But how did he get there? Well, the 25th Amendment, if the vice president had to leave office for whatever or died in office, they never replaced him. But the 25th Amendment said the president can nominate somebody, and Congress, both houses, had to approve it. Well, when
right,
Spiro Agnew, who was the vice president for Richard Nixon, when he had to resign, Nixon appointed Ford. He was approved. When Nixon had to resign, Ford became president. So we had a president that was never elected. But here's the real trivia part. Who was the vice president under Ford? It was Nelson Rockefeller.
not
So,
Rockefeller. Yeah,
yeah. So that's
I
the trivia
remember that.
question today. I'm just wondering. I'll bet not a lot of people knew that, but there you go, folks. They
No,
throw that one
I
into the
kind of
bar tonight.
forgot about it, but I'm glad that you refreshed my memory. Uh, who do you think takes the Carolina job? Or I'm hearing now maybe Kellen. They want to interview Kellen Moore, and I'm wondering if Kellen Moore's so desperate for a head coaching job, he would take that job. Who do you think would take it?
Well, and Ralph, I feel bad about this because I think they got the wrong quarterback. They should have taken
Oh,
TC.
they did. Yeah, my co-host Smoking Jim Frazier, who's a professional scout, he freelances, and he told me. He said, Ralph, he says Bryce Young's not a good quarterback. He should have never been drafted in the
Well,
first round. He got the
he's
wrong quarterback.
right. Well, And it's all because of the measurables. You can't be 6 foot and make it in the NFL anymore. You better be
No.
big. You better be tall. I mean, people look at Michael Penix and they go, well, he's 6'4", guys.
Yeah.
It's just all these guys coming out now are giants. But I'm just wondering, you don't want to be like Rod Marinelli and take the head coaching job at the Lions and then bury yourself because you can't win. Uh,
Right.
Carolina's going to win some games, but is 3 or 4 or 5, which is what they're looking at next, because they don't have a draft pick. They
Yeah.
moved up to get
Yeah. They
Bryce
lost on their draft. Yeah, they did.
Young.
You're right.
And Bryce Young, hey, football IQ tremendous. I tell you what, but the bottom line is this is a physical game. It's played by men and generally angry men on defense. So, you
Yeah.
need to have somebody who can basically take the hits for 17 weeks. And we're finding out that, and I think that's what got Frank Reich fired, is he
Yeah.
sat there, he probably lobbied for Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud, and ownership is looking, well, look what's going on in Houston. Well, what's going on in Houston is they had the number 1 and the number 3 pick, and they got strong
Yes.
on offense and strong on defense. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And they
it's
got
going to be
strong on head
interesting.
coach. D'Amico Ryans don't take no jive down there. I mean, he's
No,
shipping people out and he doesn't care. And
nope.
that's the way you need to be in this business now, because these guys are so prima donna. You just, you got to crack the whip, and he's doing it down there. And I
Well,
tell you
yeah,
what,
and you got
I'm impressed with him.
and you better have the support of your veteran players to do that. So I got a
Yeah.
feeling that because Houston has been down for so long, that he came in, probably sat down with veteran players, said, "Look, guys, it's going to be my way or the highway. Are you in or are you out?" And probably all the veterans said, "We're in," and those that said they
Right.
weren't, they're
Right.
probably gone. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this next segment's brought to you by draft412.com. Get on their website today. They have the best in draft coverage of all different drafts, from the NHL to NBA, Major League Baseball, and football. $9 a month. You can subscribe to their e-magazine. It'll be dropped in your inbox. I have it. $9 a month is nothing. So for this information, they also have some podcasts that you can check out as well. So check out draft412.com today. All right.
And you know
All
what,
right.
Ralph? Let me throw a quick plug in there for my guys.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
Joe is having Rick Moore and Rob Creed, our 2 baseball guys, on next week. Draft 412, talk about MLB. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to be on.
Draft 412 and Amped Up Sports. We all work together. I mean, you guys are sponsor my show, my sports show, Sports Corner, and you sponsor my external bum show, and you sponsor this one. And and I really
Just one big
appreciate it.
happy family, right, Ralph?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. One big happy family. You're right. All right, let's talk before we go into the NFL games for this week. Let's talk about this championship game between Michigan and Washington. I think this is going to be a dogfight. These are 2 pretty much evenly matched teams. One is offensive and one is defensive, more or less. What do you think how do you think this game's going to go?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ralph. Point blank, I think Washington wins, and
Okay.
here's why. Michigan isn't going to be facing an average quarterback like they did at Alabama.
Okay.
Michael Penix, if you watch the throw he made to McNamara when he ran that skinny post, the guy is over 50% completing passes 40 yards down the field. He threw a missile. It didn't get more than 6 feet off the ground, split the safeties, which you're not supposed to be able to do because the safety should have get over there. And man, he let that thing fly, and McNamara wasn't even looking. So boom, he comes out. I think you're exactly right. It's going to be, don't go to the freezer for a cold one, because by the time you get back, that score is going to change. I think Washington wins. I think the only way Washington doesn't win is if Penix gets hurt, because Michigan's going to try to blitz him. The problem is he has the quickest release in college football. When he sees it, it comes out. Very unorthodox, but I'll tell you what, it comes out and it's on fire. Washington wins 38-30.
All right. Yeah. You know what? I think it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a competitive game. It shouldn't be a blowout. I don't think it will. But you're right about this. Washington. I don't think Michigan has faced anything like that at all. And so we'll see where it goes. Michael Penix, I think he'll probably do really well for himself. He's a good quarterback for Washington and Michigan.
I just hope he doesn't get hurt, Ralph, because he's got 2 knee injuries, a
NFL
shoulder
experience,
injury.
right?
You know,
Yeah,
and he's going to go top 5 in the draft. And people are saying, like, I don't know what they're seeing that says he's not a top 5 pick. I've got him the best quarterback coming out, but plain and simple, as a pure
right.
thrower, he's the best I've seen in 10 years. Hey, Ralph, while we're on the subject, let's go to the FCS real quick. South
Yes,
Dakota State, Montana State.
Montana.
South
Yeah,
Dakota State is trying to wrap up a perfect season and back-to-back titles. And I think they do it down in Frisco, Texas. I think they beat Montana State.
so
Going to
do
be a
I.
little bit
Yeah.
lower
I
scoring,
like
but
South Dakota State. I do. I like some of the athletes they've had that've come out of that school, and Montana State too. Never underestimate these FCS players that come out into the draft. A lot of them are good players. Look at Cody Mock. I mean, Tampa
absolutely.
has Cody Mock, I believe, right?
See
Yeah,
him every
Tampa.
day. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'll tell
Tampa
you
has.
what. The funny thing is South Dakota State and
Right.
Montana State have to go all the way to Texas to play the game. So,
Yeah, I know. Well, at least it's a decent neutral site with some good weather. You know what I mean? It's not,
oh yeah, it's a great place to go. I
I
mean,
see it.
think about it.
Yeah.
It's like 10 degrees up there in Montana and
Yeah.
South
Oh, I
Dakota.
wouldn't
So
play
yeah,
a game up there at this time. I
yeah.
mean, I would because that's the way football has been in the past. But
Oh yeah.
right now, these days, nobody wants to sit out in that kind of weather and watch a game. You know what I
Nope,
mean?
not at
Unless
all.
it's the Steelers. Because I've seen people sit out in 20 degrees below zero. I worked at Heinz Field. And let me tell you what, I've seen people sit out there. I'm like, you know what? You can have this. I worked
Yep.
inside, so I enjoyed it, so.
That's like
But
I tell
anyway,
everybody. My seat's in the press box, and I love it.
yeah, well, there's some politics involved in these media credentials in this town. I can't get it.
Oh, hey Ralph, the best one still has to be the NFL. When they couldn't mandate that their players get the COVID shot, but they mandated that the media had to get it. I'm going,
Yeah,
okay,
I know. Oh, the
explain it.
politics in that, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
You
as
know,
as Ricky would say to Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
some splaining. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Well, you know what? I was watching a bar rescue episode, Leo, and he had a guy on named Desi, and like Desi Arnaz, the guy's
Right.
name was Desi, and he goes, "You got some splaining to do."
And the guy probably looked at him like, what are you talking about?
No, he knew. Yeah, he said, "Yeah, I do got some splaining to do." Yeah, he got it. But that was the title of the bar rescue. So
Yeah. And hey, Ralph, I hate to do this to you, but
yeah.
I think Mike Tomlin's going to survive another year.
Yeah, I know. I know. He is. But you know what's funny though, Leo? I said this team was going to go 10-7 at the beginning of the year when I had my Steelers special. And I had said 11-6 or 10-7, and they could go 10-7. And
Yeah.
my co-host Smoking Jim Frazier on my radio show said 9-8. They could go 9-8 for a second
Yeah.
season. But here's the problem I'm having with Mike Tomlin right now. Why does it take so long to win games? Why didn't you blow out some of these teams that you could, like New England, and you could have blew out the Arizona Cardinals? There were a lot of games that they lost that they could have taken advantage of. Bad defenses. Just a bad team overall, and they laid an egg, and so but now they finally figured it out that Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, and I'm hearing stories now that they're going to go into next season and they're going to try to sign Mason Rudolph for a few years, and Pickett will probably be a backup. And that's what everyone said he was. But we took him in the first round because Kevin Colbert, in his infinite wisdom, our former director of player operations, said, or our former general manager, more or less, he said he didn't want to hear from Pitt fans because we didn't take Pickett, and Pickett became good at some other team like Dan Marino. So that was the reason why they took Pickett first round.
Well, that's a bright move, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
again,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and Ralph, you know what I always say? Can't fix stupid, because
No, you can't. You can't. Stupid never takes a vacation. And
no.
you know what?
I'll
I've
tell you
said
what,
that
I'm
for
going to
many
steal
years.
that one. I'm going to steal that line. I'm going to
Stupid
add
never
that.
takes a vacation, man.
Never
I
takes
tell
a
you.
vacation. I like that.
And,
But
and the New Year's here, and already the stupidity's in. I was at a restaurant last night, and I DJ, and I had to meet someone for this gig. Sign a contract and all that. And I went to this restaurant. I pulled in a handicap spot, and there's a light pole, and it says no parking because of that light pole there. All right, this whatever boob here decides to park his truck, and I can barely get my wheelchair through to get into my Jeep, and my mother had to help me lift my legs to get in because I couldn't open the door wide enough to get into the Jeep.
Oh Lord,
And
yeah.
fortunately for me, I have somebody with me all the time because if
Uh,
I didn't, I'd be in deep doo doo last night. You
yeah,
know what I
and
mean? You know,
yeah,
and I would have had to go back into the restaurant, go find the guy for that truck and make a move. Somebody did that to me at a restaurant out in Grove City when my wife and I were in Grove City, went and did that. And I said, you know what? Why do you people do these things? And I have a handicap placard that's visible, that
yeah,
Stevie Wonder could see it. And, and I mean, and,
yeah.
and I said I said to my mom, I said the beginning of the year, and already here we are. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Here we are.
And
Stupid.
and you know
Everybody.
what, Ralph? One thing real quick about the Michigan game, and also the South Dakota State game. I got a friend of mine from high school, Karen, who lives in San Antonio, and she said the pollen count down there is terrible this week from Cedar.
Oh,
And
whoa.
I'm hoping none of these kids have allergies because she told
Yeah.
me, that, oh my God, it is terrible. Now, they've had a little bit of rain, and, rain washes away that pollen, but
Yeah. Yeah.
they're going to Houston, they're going to Frisco. Frisco is, is basically a suburb of Dallas. But
Right.
hopefully that won't affect anything. But Ralph, but we got the NFL, right?
Yeah, we're going to go over the games here in 1 second here. All right, here we are. Okay, Steelers Ravens. I take the Steelers 20-10. I said that last night on a couple shows this week. 20-10 Steelers against the Ravens. The Ravens are playing all their backups because they're in the playoffs. Uh, I don't know. They're the number one seed in the entire AFC. They have the best record. And then I'll tell you which team has really fallen. It's Kansas City. Matt Nagy is a horrible offensive coordinator. He hasn't done anything there. And now they're starting to feel the effects of the enemy being gone.
Well,
And
you know what, Ralph? I'm not going to put that on him. I have never seen a team drop as many passes as the Chiefs
yeah.
have.
Oh yeah, Crisco
Oh,
fingers. I mean, it's
yeah,
terrible here.
yeah.
And
So,
you
you
know,
can't put that on the
and Travis
on the
Kelce and
Chiefs.
his relationship with Taylor Swift has kind of made things a distraction for the team. And I think it's terrible. And I think that Andy Reid needs to nip some things in the bud a little bit, there. And we'll see what goes on. But yeah, Kansas City fell. We have Cincinnati, Cleveland's in it in our division, and then also the Ravens. We could be in the playoffs, but again, the Steelers can't control their own destiny because they lose stupid games to 2-10 teams.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you are stuck waiting for other people to do their thing, and nothing's going to happen. It never does because we never get that kind of stuff. All right,
No, the bottom
this.
line is they got to win. If you don't
Oh yeah,
win, you don't worry
you
about
don't
it.
win, forget it. Yeah. All
Because
right.
I said on your show 2 weeks ago, if you
Mhm.
want to get in the AFC, you better have 10 wins. Now the NFC, 9 wins. But you
9
don't have
wins.
10 wins, you're not getting in.
Right. Well, Tampa could still win the division, and that division. No offense to you guys down in Leo, is a big joke. You know what I
Oh, it's
mean?
terrible. It's
Yeah, that's
terrible.
one of the biggest jokes in the world, and that's the interesting part about that division there with New Orleans, Atlanta, and all that stuff.
It
Carolina.
reminds me of the NFC East, 3 or 4 years ago when Washington won it, and I think they were like 7-9 or 7-10, and they had a home game the year the Bucks won the Super Bowl. But yeah, it's not a pretty sight. But you know what? I wouldn't want to come to Tampa, or I woun't want to come to New Orleans and play in a playoff game if I'm the Eagles or if I'm the Cowboys,
Yeah.
because that's who's
Oh,
coming.
you know what? The Eagles have fallen too. I mean,
Oh,
they haven't. And I'm hearing stories now. Listen to this. I just heard a rumor yesterday. I have some friends in Philly. I heard a rumor yesterday that now the Eagles are talking about if they don't go to the playoffs, they're talking about firing Nick Sirianni because they're saying that he can't coach, and the only reason he went to the Super Bowl was because of his assistants and all this other horse and cadoodle. And I said this at the beginning of the year with Philly. The loss of Gannon and Steichen is going to kick them in the tail, and I was right.
well, and you
Okay.
know what, Ralph? Tell your friends they're in, no matter what happens. they're going either as the NFC East
And
champ
now
or
they're
they're
talking
going.
about firing Sirianni. You know what? Philly is
No,
so tough with their coaches; it's unbelievable. But I hope they don't. Lurie doesn't do that, because if he does, you know, Phil, that's a shame. I mean,
no,
but
see that's not happening. That's
that's not
that's
going to happen. No.
that's
But
that's,
see,
that's
I read a report, and it was sort of erroneous about this. You know, I'm going to use the term from Kevin Colbert, our former GM. It was an erroneous report. All right. And I think it was erroneous, but you know, so we'll see where it goes. Okay. Jaguars versus the Titans. Titans are terrible. Jaguars are struggling. What do you think?
well, I think now they had a chance to rest Trevor Lawrence, get his shoulder back. So yeah, Jacksonville again playing for a home playoff game. That's
Playoff
the
game.
big
Yeah.
thing. You know, they
Yeah.
they, they got to win. They win, they're in. If not, they could be out. So yeah, it's a big game for the Jaguars. I think they
Now,
win.
now, do you think the Titans on Monday fire Mike Vrabel, or you think
No,
he's secure there?
I don't think so, because they've had quarterback issues down there. They've had guys hurt and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of
There's
like,
some stuff that's out of the coach's control. And when it's
yeah,
out of the coach's control, you can't, you can't fire a coach because of that. You know what I
no.
mean?
Well,
You know?
that's like Saleh. You lose Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All of a sudden you look like the dumbest guy in the world. But you know what? You've been planning on having it, and you have him for 3 plays. So yeah.
You know, I feel bad for Salah, Leo. He's got to deal with that New York media. They're tough up there. If you thought we were tough here, they're really bad up there.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Oh, they're terrible
They're like
tough.
sharks. They smell blood in
Oh,
the
I
water.
know.
Look out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, the Vikings versus the Lions. This is going to be a dogfight, because every time they play, it's a dogfight. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm just wondering what the Lions are going to do in terms of resting starters, because they can probably get the second seed or the third. What that really may not matter. So again, if you get the second seed, you're guaranteed 2 home games. But
Right.
I just think Dan Campbell's going to play his starters, because that's just his mentality. Hey,
Oh
if the
yeah,
game
he's
wasn't
going to play his starters because he wants to win, Leo, and I don't blame him. I mean,
exactly, yeah,
plus, you know what's interesting? You know they might get hurt, but there's a slim chance they'll get hurt. But I would rather play my starters, because in that way, when we go into the playoffs, we know what they're doing, and they're not sitting around and getting lazy and all that stuff. You know what I
well, I can
mean?
tell you what's in
Having
the
all
back
that
every
time off. Yeah.
yeah. Here's what's in the back of every head coach's mind. If your quarterback gets hurt, gets down there, the first question you're going to have is, why didn't you sit him? And again, the Lions are in. It's going to be interesting to see if they're playing for second seed, or if they're not. Because if they are, then it gets, because see, they beat the Cowboys.
Right.
So again, if the Cowboys win, they're in, and they're the number 2 seed. Doesn't matter what Detroit does. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Okay. Next, Falcons and Saints. Worthless game, but
Well, New Orleans got to win, because
yeah.
if Tampa Bay loses, New Orleans wins. They're in. Now, if Tampa Bay and New Orleans lose, you got 3 teams at 8 and 9.
Right. Well, see, the
Flip a
Saints
coin.
are like the Saints are like the Steelers. They lost some games they probably should have won,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, they have to play the Falcons. Arthur Smith's on a hot seat down there. I'm hearing. I read a report yesterday on my external bum show that you're invited anytime on that show, Leo. It's 10:30 every Friday morning. If
Oh,
you know,
well, let me
yeah,
know.
you're
I'll
invited.
jump in for a quick
Yeah,
10
it's on
minutes.
Block Talk Radio. So,
Yeah.
it's a half-hour show. So
Good.
anyway, we talk about bums in sports. You can bring a bum with you. It's like bring a kid to work day. Bring a
Yeah.
bum with you.
I'll
Yeah. So
bring
anyway,
Bone Phillips. How's that?
yeah, there you go. So I'm hearing reports now that they want to talk to Eric Bieniemy. Now, does Bieniemy stay in Washington, or does Bieniemy go there? What do you think?
Well, it all depends on why they. And again, if I'm a coach in Washington, I'm worried, because I'm none of their guys with the new ownership. So that's just the
Yeah,
way
that's
that's
another
going down.
good story. That's another story. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, Jets and Patriots.
Who cares? Next game.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, that's another who cares game. The Bucks and the Panthers. Here, well, the Bucks are going to blow them out. I mean,
Well, I'll tell
they
you
should.
what, Ralph. Here's the problem. There's talk Andy Dalton's going to play, because the quarterback's banged
Andy
up.
Dalton's a good quarterback. I like
Yeah,
Andy Dalton,
and you
and
don't have
yeah,
film on him. So you
and
know
he's a
what?
reliable backup like Joe Flacco. I'll take Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco any day of the week.
The
You know
Red
what I mean?
Rifle. Look out.
That's it. Browns and Bengals. This ought to be an interesting game.
Yeah, because
But the
I
Bengals
think
are not in the playoffs. They have no opportunity. I don't think they have a chance. We've beaten them twice.
yeah
Actually, our record in the Steelers' record in the AFC North is 5-1 if we beat the Ravens tomorrow.
yeah, and the funny thing is Cleveland's in, so
Yeah, Cleveland is in.
they're probably
You
going
know
to.
what? I have egg on my face because I thought Cleveland was going to fail again this year, and I took it lightly, and I said no. And Smoke and Jim, my co-host on my radio show, goes, Ralph, you don't know. I'm telling you, Cleveland's going to hit it this year. Well, you know what I said? They're going to be the same thing. Stefanski's going to make boneheaded moves and all and mistakes and all that.
And you
Well,
know
here
what, Ralph?
we are.
Hey, defense travels, and it's been traveling for Cleveland. That's for sure.
Oh
There's
yeah,
two teams
Jim
in the
Schwartz
AFC.
has got that defense going real good. Alex Van Pelt's our offensive coordinator, former Pitt quarterback, and almost
He's
became Pittsburgh.
resurrected Joe Flacco's career. That's for
Yes,
sure.
he did. Yes, he did. All right, Bears and Packers. Move on.
Uh, I, no, I'll tell you what. Packers have
That's
to
gonna be
win
a
to
dog
even
fight.
have a shit. And you know what? All of a sudden, Fields is starting to play pretty well. So
Yeah,
we're going to see.
Matt Everport's trying to save his job, I think. So
Yeah, and again, the Bears and my brother's in Chicago, and my brother Tom said they got the first pick from Carolina, and they don't need a quarterback. Trade
right.
out, go down a couple spots, go down 3 or 4. You need a receiver, Marvin Harrison or the guy Ozuni from Washington. He's pretty, and the guy down at LSU, Mason. I tell you what, he's pretty good receiver. And you need a right tackle. So you need an offensive
Right.
lineman. You need a
Yeah.
receiver. And you know what? If you're not picking a quarterback at the number 1 pick, my idea is trade down and get multiple picks.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, next, Cowboys and the Commanders.
Big game for the Cowboys. They need to win because that gets them home field. And again,
Oh
Jerry
yes,
Jones
absolutely.
likes that cha-ching, cha-ching. So
Yeah, and I think Ron Rivera's out of gas, and I think that the Commanders team's out of gas too.
yeah,
So we'll see where that
yeah,
goes. Broncos Raiders. This is going to be a dogfight. It always is, no matter how
always
bad
is.
it is and whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Sean Payton sits Russell Wilson.
yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly. Rumors are flying. He's coming to the Steelers. I don't think so. So we'll see where that goes. But
yeah,
you never know. So you know, the NFL is unpredictable. Eagles and Giants. I'm taking the Eagles in this. But we'll move on. Giants are
yeah,
having a bad year. You know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
overpaid Gabriel
I
Jones.
got the birds too. Yeah,
Yep, Seahawks, Cardinals. Seahawks, Cardinals are terrible.
yeah.
The
Another.
two
Well, yeah.
birds.
The Cardinals are terrible, except when Murray decides that he's going to play. Not decides, but if they allow him to play defensively, you
Right,
got to keep him in the pocket. You can't let him get outside. So, and the problem is when you look at film, you don't know how fast this guy is. And then all of a
right.
sudden you get out there, oh, he's faster than this. So, poof. Yeah. So if Murray gets outside the pocket and can make plays with his feet and extend plays, look out. Now the Seahawks got problems.
Rams, 49ers. This is going to be a dogfight because the Rams want to get in the playoffs. 49ers are already in.
And
What do
they're
you think?
resting everybody too.
You're
So,
resting everybody. So you think the Rams will take this?
yeah, I do. And you know what, Ralph? Here's the thing.
Mhm.
You go to your players, and
Okay.
if I'm the head coach, I'm saying, how much, if at all, do you need to play to stay
Right.
sharp? If they tell me 1 series, 1 quarter, 1 half, fine. I don't need it. I'd rather get the rest. Then that's what you do because you want to keep it on the player. What do I need to do to make you stay sharp? Because if they rest them today, that means they're resting them next week. You're going to take 2 weeks of rust you got to get off
That's
for
what
the
I'm
playoffs.
saying. That's why I like what Dan Campbell's doing because you need to put some of your starters in there because if they're stale after coming off of all that rest time and they're not going to, I've seen Steeler teams do that and come out flat and lose. You know what I mean? And that's just
Mhm.
something you can't do. All
Yep,
right, we got 2 more to go and then we'll wrap it up here. Chiefs and Chargers. Chiefs. Chargers,
absolutely.
they're in
Yeah,
disarray.
the Swifties need a win.
Right, exactly. I hear the Gatorade man's the head coach, the interim coach down at Chargers right now. So we'll see. The Bills and the Dolphins. This is going to be a dogfight.
Well,
This one.
this Ralph, 4 weeks ago, if I'd have said to you, well, this game's going to be for the AFC East Championship, you'd have laughed
Championship.
at me. But
Oh,
you know what? Everybody said, well, the game's in Miami. that's advantage Bills,
Yes,
because
exactly, because they play in cold weather all the time up there
yeah,
in Buffalo, and you
because
coming down there is just gonna be paradise for them, so, you know.
and Josh Allen, he's in fuego right now. So
Yeah, yeah, he's
we'll
hot.
see what happens there in a hurry. But Miami's already lost once to them, so they can't lose
Yeah.
again.
Well, their new
Or my
offensive coordinator has Josh Allen in really good
yeah.
place there, you know?
Well, I got a
So
feeling Josh Allen may be the offensive coordinator. You call the play, but
Yeah, you know
I'm
what?
gonna
There's
change
nothing
it.
really wrong with that. If he can call his own plays and they're the right ones, go ahead and do it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? You know,
yeah.
so
Or
but
they
anyway.
send in a play and he goes, that's good, but nah, I'm gonna change it. So go ahead.
All right, what's your thoughts? I see you got a Clemson jersey on. What's your thoughts about Clemson next year in the ACC? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, I don't understand what Florida State's trying to do.
Right,
I think they more have their feelings hurt because they didn't get in and they felt if they were in a different conference. Well, there's two problems. One, nobody wants them right now.
right,
And you
right,
better travel in twos because they're not going to take one. And number two, uh, Florida State's had one good year in the past 9. They have been totally irrelevant in football for the last 9 years until this year. I mean, they've been looking up at Clemson so bad they've been hard to tell where they were. So yeah, you had one good year and now you want out. I mean, it's not because of the conference. It's because the NCAA College Football Selection Committee is bought off and paid for by TV. They were not going to keep a very average Alabama team out. And everybody said, well, and Ralph, I had this goof come and
right.
say, it's not about who earned it, it's who deserved it. Well, you know what? That shows what an idiot you are. And like you said, you can't fix stupid, and stupid never takes a vacation. And
Patient, right?
and
Exactly. Here we go. Here, I got something for Florida State.
well, you know what, Ralph? What people don't realize is that's has cost them millions of dollars in terms of revenue and NIL and everything.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely it did. Yes, exactly. And now college football is doing what I said on this show many times. How many times have I said it, Leo? And they're finally going to start looking into some, like the coaches can't move, the NAL can't function, and the transfer portal until after bowl games because these teams are complaining because when they lose players, they have to go into these games with backups and stuff. And now the universities are starting to complain. And you know what? Now the NCAA is going to take a look at it this year after the
well,
season.
not
And they
only
need
the
to do that.
university, the
The
coaches are
coaches
complaining.
too, exactly.
Brian
Yes.
Kelly and Luke Fickle both had to lead press conferences with us to talk guys out of the portal. I mean,
Right.
it's just like
Exactly. Yeah.
this is nuts. And you know what? You shouldn't have to stay when your season's over.
Right.
And I'm not saying your season. I'm saying there's two things the NCAA needs to do. No movement until after the championship
Right.
game.
Right after the
And
championship game.
here's the
Exactly.
second
Yeah.
thing they need to
After
do.
everything's exhausted.
Right.
Okay. Everything is exhausted. Just like if you get fired in a union and they can't fire or they can't, they have to pay you benefits or something while you're on, when you're terminated until they go to arbitration and then it moves on to whatever after that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what college football needs to do. They have to come up with some kind of structure because this is out of control.
Oh
This
yeah,
is,
it's
and I've
totally.
said this many times. And finally, now the NCAA on Tuesday, I'm going Tuesday on my radio show. I'll tell you what, this week's radio show is going to be phenomenal. I have in studio head coach Mike Warfield from Aliquippa, who put out a lot of NFL players over the years, and they're being stiffed by the PIAA. They every year, every time they win the championship, they keep moving them up brackets from like 4A to 5A to 6A and 7A, and they don't have those kind of players, Leo, and they keep moving them up. But then Southern Columbia in the middle of the state wins all these championships and they don't move them up. So I'm going to have Mike Warfield on to talk about it in studio. So, it's a big political thing. And I'm going to talk about this because I said this many times on many shows about the NCAA. They need to start putting up some kind of structure. And now that they're hearing it from coaches and player and universities,
They're
now
from everybody. Yeah.
yeah, now they're hearing it from everybody. So now to stop hearing it, they're going to start talking about it and doing
And
something.
Ralph, here's the second thing they need to do. Teams that do not make a bowl game
Right.
need to be given 10 extra days, 5 in the spring, 5 in the fall, because all this does is the rich get richer. They sit there and look at the New Year's Day games. They had 15 practices. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. That's 15 days. You've got to make it an even playing field. And they're saying, well, it's a reward. Well, no, it's a
No, it's
punishment for
not. It's a
not
punishment.
making it.
Making
You,
it. Yeah.
if you want this thing to look good, you need to tell the teams, okay, if you're not in a bowl game, you get to have 10 extra days of practice, 5 in the fall, 5 in the spring, and
Hey,
just
hey, I
decide
got an
whether you
idea,
want it,
Leo.
when you want it. But you
Yeah.
know what? That's going to make things, that's going to even out the playing field. But Ralph, you're exactly right. If they don't get the portal and the NIL under control, and
Yeah.
Brian Kelly said this at the press conference, he said, look, coaches aren't against the NIL. They're just against the NIL because now it's become a pay for play. And that's
Yes,
not good.
exactly. Yeah, no, it's not good at all. Not at all. Not at all. But what I wanted to say was, oh wow, I lost my train of thought for a second here. But anyway, what I
Hey
wanted to
Ralph,
say was,
while you're looking for that train of thought, hit a couple sponsors. That'll help you out, all right?
yeah, there you go. Amada Heating and Air Conditioning, 724-201-0500. It's wintertime, folks. Your furnace needs fixed. Call Amada today. Ask for Bill, because I got to tell you, they are the best at heating and air conditioning. They also have heat pumps. They also do snow melt, which, of course, helps you out. UV lighting. It's getting dark early now. You need that big lighting outside your house. Call them today, 724-201-0500, or get on their Facebook page, Amada Heating and Air Conditioning. Fold and Travel Mobility. Are you handicapped in a wheelchair as I am? Have you felt down because you need a folding power wheelchair to participate in certain activities that you can't participate in? You can't go to a concert at the outdoor amphitheater because you got to park your car 2 miles away from where you got to sit, and then you got to wheel yourself through there without going through a whole lot of problems. Well, guess what? I got the solution for you. 1-877-GOTFOLD or foldandtravelmobility.com. Talk to the professionals there. They will set you up with the right model, and financing is available as well. Foldandtravelmobility.com. All right, P6 Auto Detailing in New Kensington. Call them today, 412-965-6578. The new year is here, and it's time to get your car detailed. All right, Leo. Anything else you want to add today?
Well, you know what, Ralph? I post every Friday who's hot in sports. And I'll tell you what we're starting to see now is teams are starting to put it together. It takes a while to,
Yes.
and what people don't realize with professional sports, hockey, basketball, football, baseball, travel takes into consideration. I can't wait to next year, the NCAA, to see when Washington has to go to Rutgers, or when Stanford has to go to Clemson, or
Yeah. Oh,
when
yeah.
North,
Stanford.
what,
How about SMU? I mean,
yeah,
SMU's got to go too. I mean, because they're in the
yeah.
ACC next year.
I think the closest game for SMU is Louisville. So yeah,
Louisville.
it's
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to
And
be.
and I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I'm going to get on one last rant
How
before
about
we
Pitt?
go.
How about Pitt going to Stanford? There you
Yeah,
go. You know.
yeah, and
So
how about somebody picking up Oregon State and Washington State? Come on,
yeah,
you've got
I
them
know.
out in the
I thought
cold.
I
Hey,
thought the Big 12's starting to fold up a little bit, but I thought the Big 12 would take them
well, it would make
because there's a
sense.
few teams out that way.
Yeah,
Oklahoma and all of them are out that way.
yeah,
So why not? No.
and you know what? It would be a perfect fit for the Big Ten because it gives them 6 on the West, and
Right.
then you could add like Wisconsin, Iowa, and Nebraska, and then they would head west, and everybody else would head east to Maryland, and it would cut down the travel, especially on those non-football sports, because you're just going to throw football in a big egg basket and say, okay, here's who you play, and the
Right.
best 2 teams go from there. So they just got to figure out. They got to move Michigan, Ohio State earlier in the season.
Yeah,
So
oh yeah. Yeah,
that's going to
absolutely.
be tough.
Yeah.
So hey,
Yeah,
Ralph, it's been
that should be like their starting game. Hey, I got here's what I wanted to say. I finally remember what I wanted to say. They should have two bowl games for the 4 worst teams in college football, and they should go try to get somebody like Tidy Bowl or Mr. Clean or something, and call it the Toilet Bowl or something. You know, the
Yeah,
two worst teams, and then the other team call it the Goof Bowl or something. You know, because you're the worst team. NCAA would probably do it because you know why? It makes money, and
makes
people would
money.
watch it because and it's funny. It's hilarious. You got your two worst teams playing each other in a bowl game.
And somebody who's going to win. That's the
Yes,
best part.
exactly. Somebody got to win. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll tell you
They ought to
what, they
call
they,
it Tiny
they,
Bowl.
they, they definitely need to get rid of that 2-point play after the second overtime. That's just ludicrous.
It
You
is
can't
ludicrous. You're
can't
right.
put the
Yeah.
ball on the 2-yard line and say, here we go. So, hey,
Here we
Ralph,
are.
always a pleasure on Saturday.
Same here, Leo. Thank you. See you next week, and we'll be talking during the week. I got Mike Sestak or Simsack coming on
Uh-huh.
Tuesday to talk Ravens and Steelers.
All
So
right. Let me
there
know
you
if
are.
you need me on your show, and I'll keep Friday open.
Oh
Take care,
yeah.
buddy.
All right. Have a great one.
Bye.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Leo Haggerty, my co-host here on Telling It Like It Is. We got to take care of a few sponsors here. Hillcrest Farm, Richmond, Ohio. Give them a call today. Their number is 740-346-5442 or 740-632-2894. Hillcrest Farms, Ohio at gmail.com, and check out their website, www.hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and also Hillcrest Farm on Facebook as well. And also they have some package deals. The best one I like is our ground beef deal. For $95, you get 20 pounds of ground beef. All right, comment section still open. We're here for a few more minutes here on Telling It Like It Is with me, Ralph Williams, Leo Haggerty. Some other announcements to make about RW Media shows or later on this evening. I'm doing my final. If they make the playoffs, we'll see. My final Steelers post-game show. My guests so far are Smoking Jim Frazier and Shane Stedmiller, who does a podcast with Bubba Brewer and the Three Bs podcast. So and Bubba has changed the names of some of his shows. But anyway, so far we have those two on, possibly Steve Spates later on, and a few more people on the post game show. You never know who might be on there as well. But Smoke and Jim and I and Shane, we're going to dissect the end of the Steeler game, the final regular season game of the year as well. Also, check out some other RW Media shows. On Monday, I have the new Ralph's Opinion, and it'll be on Blog Talk Radio, which is 563-999-3740 is the number to listen to the show. We start at 11 a.m. instead of 11:30, and we're 1 hour now. So we're going to go 1 hour on Blog Talk Radio. 563-999-3740, or become a subscriber to a listening subscriber to Blog Talk Radio, and you can chat right on my show live, right on Blog Talk Radio, national perspective. And I do a lot of talking, in my opinion, of what I think is going on in the world and across the country today. Also, later on Monday, also 7 p.m., the way we see it with me, Ralph Williams, and Bill Canada. We talk local stuff in Pittsburgh, national things, stupid stuff. We have the ridiculousness, bonehead, and a whole lot more. I got some boneheaded and ridiculous stuff that went on in my life in the last week. And as I mentioned to Leo earlier, we're in the new year, and already we got knuckleheads doing stupid things at the beginning of the year. And I knew it. I said it. Stupid never takes a vacation. And here we are, stupid again. You know what? How did Forrest Gump put it? Stupid is as stupid does. Yeah, there we go. All right. Sponsorship advertising. Are you a small business? Are you a medium business? Are you a big business? Would you like to have more customers, or would you like to have more business? Would you like to have your business out there? Well, call RW Media Productions today, 412-545-4317. You get radio, you get podcast, you get radio for a podcast, and you get 3 national shows on Blog Talk Radio. Plus, RW Media also offers button advertising on the website, www.rwmedia.org. Check it out. We'll put your business card or name right up on there. It's real easy, and it's up on my website, www.rwmediaproductions.com. Also, my email is open for mailbag, ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. We have a couple here today. Phil, who's a steady listener or watcher and listeners to my shows. He said, great show as always, Ralph with Leo. He says, you guys break it down. and you tell it like it is. That's right, we do. All right. And, you know, some things have happened here. The NCAA is actually going to start looking into structure, and they need to do that. The NCAA is out of control when it comes to structure, and they need to do the structure. All right. All right. But anyway, sponsorship advertising. Please make sure that you give us a call today, 412-545-4317. Affordable advertising, not $6,000. I'm talking way below, even below $1,000. And that should wake you up to call. All right. Or get on my email at ralphwilliams737@gmail.com. You need a DJ. You need a reliable one. You want one for a party or a special event? Call DJ Fun today, 412-990-8448. Give him a call. And I tell you what, DJ Fun is one of the best DJs around. 15 years of doing DJ work. Great party DJ and also special events. All right. I'm Ralph Williams for Leo Haggerty. It's been a great telling it like it is this morning once again. And also don't forget, too, on Tuesday, Sports Corner Radio Show on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM, 1230 on the AM dial. And we're live on Beaver County Radio's Facebook page, YouTube channel. And we're also live on their website, app, their phone app, and www.rwmedia.org. Go on the website there, push the button right under Beaver County Radio. It says live. You can listen to the show. No excuse not to participate in any of RW Media shows. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Well, for the second time, we have the new Wrestle Talk. That's going to be myself and Smoking Jim Frazier. Bubba Brewer has a lot of commitments and cannot participate. So it's going to be me and Smoking Jim Frazier from now on Wednesday, 7 p.m. 563-999-3740. Wrestle Talk across the country and around the world. And we have a big following for that. Even though we've changed numbers and changed times and everything else, we still have the same amount of audience. It's a great show. Smoking Jim and I talk about WWE, AEW. And speaking of that, on the radio show from 4 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and I forgot to mention this on Beaver County Radio, at 5:30 p.m., we now have a new wrestling segment that we're starting this Tuesday. And my guest will be Randy, all right, Fadika. Randy Fadika will be my guest. He is a independent wrestler from Detroit, and he is going to be talking about how independent wrestling is going in the Michigan area. All right, and that's going to be a great show. We also do that every week from 5:30 to 6 p.m. We break down wrestling, WWE, WROH, Impact, and more. Smoking Jim and I and Ryan, my producer, we break it all down for you on Sports Corner, 4 to 6 p.m. Sports Corner Radio Show. Me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, the up-and-coming show in Western Pennsylvania. My guest, Matt Bensel from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette to talk about the Penguins. Also, I have Mike Simsack coming on from Amped Up Sports to talk about the Ravens and the Steeler game. And then at 5 o'clock or a little before 5, probably around 4:45, I have Mike Warfield, the head coach of Aliquippa High School, in studio. In studio. I'm the only media person in town other than Coach's Corner that has Mike Warfield in the studio. Okay. All the other media people have interviewed him on the phone. I'm bringing him in the studio. All right. So he'll be in studio with me to talk about this travesty of the PIAA and what they're making Aliquippa do, which is sad. It stinks. It's politics at its best. You know, I have this to say. Why does everything have to be a politics? But it is. And no matter what kind of life or what kind of thing it is, it's always politics. And don't forget Fridays as well, 10:30 a.m., Blog Talk Radio, 563-999-3740. Scott Morganroth, Ralph Williams, and JT Toth, the External Bum podcast. All right. All right. I'm Ralph Williams. This has been Telling It Like It Is. Talk to you later on for the post-game show right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter platforms. Smoking Jim Frazier, Shane Stettmiller, and maybe even a few other guests. You never know who I might have on. So tune into the post-game show. We dissect the Steeler-Ravens game. 20 minutes after the game, we dissect it. I'm Ralph Williams. Have a great one. Happy New Year to you. Have a great one. Be safe.